All right, everyone, we are back. Chapter 5, last chapter for the night. Make sure your cameras are on, please. Cameras on. Anthony, I just accepted you, okay? All right. You're texting me as I was doing that. All right, cool, guys. So let's go over this. We're going to talk about encumbrances and liens. All right, got some YouTubers. Hello. Encumbrances and liens. You guys already know what an encumbrance is, right? You know that this word means cloud, right? Cloud or something that stops you from moving forward. So we're going to talk about different encumbrances that we have in real estate. Like a shared driveway, for instance, is a physical or usage encumbrance. The utility companies, they have the right to come to your property for maintenance of their electrical lines or plumbing or whatever. So it's a usage encumbrance. And then we have encumbrance. And then we have mortgages, taxes, judgments, which are also a type of encumbrance, which we call lien. So when you see the word lien, specifically, we're talking about money. When you see liens specifically, it's a type of encumbrance, but it's money. It relates to a financial claim. So unpaid taxes, unpaid mortgage, unpaid judgments, meaning there's still a balance that needs to be resolved. Usually we cannot sell a property without paying off the liens. Okay? So these are encumbrances. Okay? And we're going to talk about, under encumbrances, we're going to talk about easements. These are encumbrances, by the way. Easements, encroachments, licenses, deed restrictions, liens, and so on. So all of these are encumbrances. Things that limit your property. So an easement is rights that people have on your property. Okay, so rights that other people have on your property, rights. Okay. Encroachment is an illegal extension. Onto somebody's property. A license is a permission or privilege I'll explain it all better in a second. Deed restrictions, you guys already know it's deed conditions. Like I sell the property as long as you use it for hospital purposes, if you guys remember, or I sell the property as long as you're alive. These are restrictions or conditions on the property, right? And liens are money or financial claims. Okay? As far as this last one, if there's a financial claim that's unpaid, it takes to foreclosure. So if it's unpaid, you go to foreclosure. Okay. So let me go over this again. These are all types of encumbrances or clouds or limitations or restrictions on your property. One of them is called easement. An easement is rights that people have on your property or that you have on somebody else's property. Encroachment is an illegal extension onto somebody else's property. So let's say you put a new fence and you put the fence like a foot or 2 feet into somebody else's property. That's an illegal extension, right? Licenses right here. License is a permission or privilege, just like your driver's license is a permission to drive the roads of New Jersey, as an example, or the roads of California, as an example, whatever permission was given to you. Your real estate salesperson license is a permission to conduct business in the state of New Jersey, as an example. It's a permission. All of these can be revoked if they're permissions. They're not rights, they're privileges or permissions. It can be revoked. Then we have deed restrictions is, again, as a seller, I'm putting a restriction on the property saying that you cannot alter the property as it is, or it's as long as you're alive. These are restrictions on the property, as an example. Liens is money. Money unpaid leads to foreclosure. That's pretty much the summary of what we're going to go over here. Okay? So encumbrances are clouds. So it's a right or interest. Yeah. It's an interest and right in real estate that limits the legal owner's freehold interest. So it's a limitation. Okay? It's a limit. It's a cloud. I'll keep on saying this. Okay? Because when there's a cloud, there's a limitation on what we can and cannot do. Okay? An encumbrance, very important, does not include the right of possession. So it's not an estate. You guys remember we had different types of interests. There's the possession and there's the non-possession. We talked about it yesterday, right? Possession and non-possession. See, possession means you are a freehold or a leasehold tenant. It means you're allowed to occupy. There's an estate interest, right? Non-possession, the interest is a claim to the property if you do this or if you don't do that or whatever the situation might be. There's an event, right? So you have a right to the property somehow. Okay? Let's go here to the next page. These are the two general types of encumbrance. You can restrict the owner's use or restriction on ownership. All right? So this is page, what page is that? Page 56, okay? So in terms of encumbrances, there's two different types that will restrict you either on the use or on the ownership. Okay? If it's on the use, it's called easement, encroachment, license, or deed restrictions. Okay, so these are what can you do with the property. Okay? If it's the ownership, then generally it's liens. So financial claims limit your ownership. Because if you don't pay, they can take it away, right? Or deed restrictions. If you die, if it's a life estate, it's taken away. If you change the usage that was agreed upon, so from hospital to office, right, it could be taken away. So this restricts your ownership. That's the difference between these two. Let me zoom out again. These are the two types. Either restricts the use of the property or it restricts the ownership and the right to transfer the property. Okay? So let's talk about easements first. Easements. There's two different types of easements, and then within the easements, there's more sub categories. So we have easement appurtenant and easement in gross. Appurtenant means attached. So that means you have the right to somebody else's property because it's attached to yours, like a shared driveway, right? A shared driveway is an easement appurtenant because for you to get to the back of your house, you have to go through half of your neighbor's driveway, and your neighbor cannot stop you. It's the right that you have to use his half. But guess what? Your neighbor also has the right to use your half. You understand? So shared driveway is because the properties are attached to each other. So attached land or attached property. Okay? Easement in gross, it's pretty much the opposite, detached. So for instance, the utility companies, right? Utility companies, their property is not attached to yours, right? But they have a pole there for electrical, and they have, there you go. They have the pole there for electrical, or they have the water or the sewer mains, right? So they have the right to go to your property to fix those, or to maintain those, or to improve those, right? They don't have land next to yours. That's the difference. Appurtenant, attached, in gross is just a simple right to use someone else's property. And we're going to go over examples now, okay? So again, easement is the right to use. Very important. Easement is a right to use. Very, very important. This is a very simple chapter for the most part. Okay? So easement, it's easy. It's the right to use the property, period. Okay? There's a party that will have the benefit. There's a party that's burdened with the fact that they have to allow. So in the shared driveway, again, I have to allow you to go through my property. So I'm the one with the burden, and you're the one benefiting, right? But when I'm driving my car through, I'm the one benefiting, and you're the one with the burden of allowing me to go through. That's what benefited party and burdened party means. Okay? Now, the essential characteristics of easements include the following. Very, very important. An easement means there's another party. Okay? You have the right to use someone else's property. So there's two owners. I cannot, as it says here, I cannot own an easement over my own property. That's the same thing as saying, hey, right foot, please move so the left foot can move. They're both your feet, right? It would make no sense for me to own two properties together and give myself the right to use my other property, right? So for an easement appurtenant to exist, there must be owner A and owner B, two separate owners. Okay, that's essential. For an easement appurtenant to exist, for an easement to exist, any easement, two separate owners. Okay? And that's what you need to remember right there. Let's go again to easement appurtenant. Okay? Under easement appurtenant, there's an adjoining property, as I just said. So two properties together. Easement appurtenant, there's adjoining properties or properties together. And we have what's called a dominant and a servient. Okay. So it's very easy to understand this. A dominant is the one that benefits. Okay? A servient is the one that has to allow it to go through. So the one with the burden. So they serve. So think of it as, So think of it as, we got two properties here, right? And there's going to be an example in a little bit. But let's say this property. Actually, let me go to the example. It's a little better. Actually, I remember the example on this one. Right here. There you go. So if you guys go to the image right below, I'm trying to zoom in. Under easement appurtenant, if you guys see the properties are attached. Ruth, yes. Servant tenement. Yep. Right there. So what I'm going to show you guys real quick is there's a host and there's a guest. That's how I want you to think about this. There's a host and there's a guest. So if you guys look right here, this is my property, and I have to go through your property to get to the public road, right? You cannot stop me from going through your property. Look right here, right? This is property A lot. I have to go through property A to get to the public road. So pretty much I'm the dominant because I'm the guest and the servant is the host. Right? Think about that. When you invite me to your house, for a party, to eat, whatever. Yes, Ruth, dominant is in charge. I don't know if you were saying that with your Virgo mind or if you're just, happens. So dominant is the one in charge. Servant is the one that unfortunately serves. Why are you guys laughing? Come on, it was not that bad. Anyway, so you invite me to your house, right? And if I'm there and I say, hey, I would like a glass of water, what are you going to tell me? Go home and get your own water? No, you're going to serve me, right? Most of the times, that's the way it works. You invite me, you're going to serve me. So I'm dominating because I'm the guest, right? I'm the one that's benefiting from your house and whatever you might have, right? Where your house, you're the host, so you're serving me. Who is the host in this case? Who has the property that I'm going to go through? Lot A. So therefore, lot A is the servant, serves. Lot 2. Lot 1 here, which is my property, right, dominates, is the guest. It goes right through the property to get to the public road. You guys got it? Thumbs up? Right? Great. So let me take these out of here so I can show you another example, which is right here. Lot 3 also has the same. Lot 3 has to go through lot 2, right? Get to the public road. So same scenario. So in this case, dominant, still servant. You guys got it? Okay. Good. So servant cannot go through lot 1 or they could. The thing is that the benefit that we're showing here, is the fact that there's a public road here at the bottom. So pretty much lot 2 has no benefit of going through lot 1 or lot 3 because it doesn't have access to the main road. So we're talking about the benefit. If the benefit here was a lake, which I think we have an example in a little bit, let's say this was a lake, okay? Then the benefit is lot 1 and 3 in this example, 1 and 3, have still to go through lot 2 to get to the benefit, the lake, right? So it's not just because they're going through and lot 2 cannot come through the other ones. That's not what we're saying. Is what is the benefit they're getting out of it? In this case, the only way to get to the public roads is through lot A's property, all right? So the only way to get to the public road is, here or here. So these lots, both of them, have to go through there to get to the public road. Ruth is asking if dominant is typically smaller than the servant. No. So if you see right here, lot 3, for instance, has all this. Okay? So it's not the lot size, it's the benefit that they're getting. that determines who's the dominant or not. Okay? Okay? Now, there's a different type of easement. If you guys saw it here, this one has an easement by necessity because there's no public road, right? So they have to go through that property to get the public road. This is called easement by necessity. I need to go through, so I have the right to go through your property. It's called easement by necessity. Every time you see by necessity, think of being landlocked. Necessity, think of being landlocked. Picture it as a one-way street. You could, yeah. One-way street, there's no way back. I would think of it more as a dead end. Let's talk about dead end. The people at the end have to go through everybody else. Because a one-way street, we go right through, right? A dead end, we reach the dead end and we have to come back and use your property and your property and your property and so on. Oh, that's what you meant? Okay, cool. There you go. So, what else we have? Party wall. Okay. That means there's a common wall that's shared by two owners. So think about it this way. For party wall, and the reason why it's in easements, there's a wall right here that separates the school from the real estate company, right? So this wall belongs to us. The other side of the wall belongs to them, right? Here's what I want you to think. Why is it under easements if easements are rights to somebody else's property? Just like a shared driveway, we have a shared wall. You have to maintain your side of the shared driveway, just like you have to maintain your side of the wall. Why? For support and maintenance of the other side. You guys understand? For support and maintenance of the other side. If I don't take care of this side of the wall, right? If I don't take care of this side of the wall, anything that happens on the other side, it could collapse the walls, right? So now I'm responsible for fixing my side and their side because I'm the one that was negligent. Okay, so party wall means we're sharing a common wall. So you find these in townhouses, which are houses in a row. You find these in condos, right? Those buildings with a lot of units. Well, condos means a lot of stuff, but usually we think about buildings with a lot of units. So they have party walls all over. They have ceiling, floor, the sides, pretty much a box of party walls between you and your neighbor, right? So party wall are those two houses that are attached to each other. So yeah, like a townhouse, a duplex, a condo, the fact that they share a wall is called a party wall, which is a wall that separates the parties, separates the ownership. Okay? There's two owners. Okay? Party wall separates, okay, two parties. Okay? Row houses, so townhouses. Yep. Exactly. Okay? Next, we have easement in gross. So at the bottom of that page, easement in gross. What you need to know about easement in gross is that it does not attach to the property. Easement in gross does not attach to the property. I'm going to show you easements in gross in a second. Katya is asking, is that important? Party walls? Yeah. It's what separates you from your neighbor. That's all you need to remember. Why do we have an easement on a party wall? Because if I don't maintain my structure, it could collapse like I don't maintain. So there's not enough strength to secure this one. So both of them could collapse. I'll be responsible for that. That's what a party wall is. Separates both parties. Therefore, I have to maintain my half. They have to maintain their half for support. Okay. All right. Easement in gross. So let's talk about Ruth. Where are you? Right there. Okay. Ruth, you said that you live in a lake community. There's a lake. Is your property? Oh, you were typing. Hold on. I'll address it in a second. Is your property attached to the lake or further away from the lake? Further away. Okay. But you have the right to use the lake, right? So that's the same scenario we have here. See, the property is not attached, so it's not appurtenant. Not an easement appurtenant. But the whole community has the right to use the lake. This is called a personal easement, right? And it's an easement in gross, as it says right there. Because it's not attached. So what you had is a right to the lake, right? You have the right to use the lake, right? But it's not part of your property. So you have an easement in gross. It's a personal use of the property, where utility companies have a commercial easement in gross. They have the right to use your property for commercial use or benefit. Okay. So Ruth, you were asking me if there was a dominant tenement for what? For the party walls? Was that for the party walls that you're asking? Or for the gross? Okay. Yeah, there's no dominance or servience. No. Because I have no benefit in your property other than going there for that purpose. That's it. So I have no other benefit in the property. Okay? It only involves one property. For a dominant and a servient to exist, they must be attached. And there's only one property here. Sorry, let me go back. Stacy is asking, so a street between the house and the lake is the same. So let me clear this out. Is this what you're saying? This separation? Just like there's this separation? Okay. If there's a separation, right, and you have a right to somebody's property when there's a separation by a road, it's called easement in gross. Right? It's a personal easement in gross because there's a separation between the property and the lake. So this is the clearest example right here. Property B. They are completely separate from that property. Right? There's a road. But because they're in the community, they just need to cross the road and they'll be right on the path to the property. So yeah. Ruth just said, Stacy, you are closer to the lake. So you guys live in the same community? All right. Well, either way, if you have a road that separates you, that means your lake, your house is not here, right? By the lake, then it's called a easement in gross, because your property is not attached to that property. There's a separation. Okay. All right. Okay. Page 59 at the bottom. We have something should have been separated, but called easement by prescription. Easement by prescription. Ready? Okay. Easement by prescription. Hey, guys, if you're watching on YouTube, for some reason it keeps on dropping on my end. Whoever's watching on YouTube, just let me know you're there, please. If you're live on YouTube right now with me, let me know you're there. All right, so easement by prescription. When you see by prescription, I want you to think of adverse possession, okay, or squatter's rights. Okay, and you probably heard of this before. Either adverse possession or squatter's rights or easement by prescription, they mean exactly the same thing. It's when somebody, an individual, uses somebody else's property for a certain period of time, then can claim it. So when you see squatters in somebody's house, you know they're not the owner. Okay? When you see squatters in somebody's house, you know they're not the owner. Right? After a certain period of time mandated by state law, they can. All right, Carisha's still there. Thank you. YouTube's working. Great. So they can claim rights to the property. So I want you to think about it this way. Let's say you find $100 on the floor. Okay? You find $100 on the. Okay, some people are smiling already. Yeah. All right. So you found $100 on the floor. What is the first thing you do when you find $100? You're going to find their rightful owner, correct? You're going to run around and you're going to raise your hand and say, who does this $100 belong to? Somebody just drop him. Right? No, of course not. The first thing you're going to do is wait to see if anybody claims it, right? Right? You're going to wait to see if somebody claims. You guys are like that? You just put it in your pocket and run? Look at them. They're like, yep, absolutely. It's $100. It's 2020. $5. I'll put in the pocket and run. Let me find a dime and I'll put it in the pocket and run. I know 2021, meaning we just went through 2020. But thank you, Anthony. Yep. Okay, it's the aftermath of 2020. Let's go with that. Antares is like, they can do that and not apply for a loan. Why attempt to go home ownership if we can squat and get it for free? Well, there's rules to this. Okay, Antares, there's rules to this. I call this, okay, I call this legally stealing. And the reason why I say legally stealing, it's like the $100 bill, right? Finders keepers type of thing, right? The way you're supposed to do it, even with a $100 bill or anything else, is you grab the bill and you wait to see if anybody claims it. Like a phone. You find a phone, don't just run. Wait to see if anybody claims it. Especially if it's an iPhone. You can't unlock those things. I've tried. Now, what was I saying? So, if you find $100, not for me because I hate iPhones. So, but somebody brought it to me. It's like, Bruno, I found this. Okay. Can you please help me unlock it? I'm like, sure, I'll try. But if it's registered to an account and they have not released it, there's not much you can do. I mean, you can, but it's a lot of headaches. Anyway, so if you found $100, you're supposed to wait to see if anybody claims it, or any other item, see if anybody claims it. And that's what this process is. The easement by prescription, or the adverse possession or squatter's rights, is pretty much you go into somebody's property that's vacant property, or you use part of the property, as I'll explain later. And after a certain period of time mandated by state laws, you're there waiting, you're maintaining it. Nobody says anything, and you're going to be like, hey, Your Honor, I've been maintaining it. For instance, in New Jersey, I've been maintaining it for 20 years. Nobody showed up. So technically, the owner abandoned the property. That's what it is. It's an abandonment claim. If nobody comes and claim the $100 bill, if nobody comes and claim the phone, if nobody comes and claim a car, if nobody comes and claim their kids, you can not the kids, but you can technically take over. That's the law. It's legally stealing because the law allows you. If nobody claims it, right, then they abandoned it. If they abandoned it, finders keepers. That's what this rule is about. This right is about. Is there a minimum amount of time you have to wait? So, Anthony, depends on the state. State of New Jersey, 20 years or 30 years, depending on the type of property. Florida is 6 years. Way better weather if you want to squat on the property. Texas is 5 years, depending on the conditions. Hold on. Katya is like waving. You're smiling or you're waving? Is there a question? Did I miss it? Or you just want to tell me that Amberson was there? Because I saw Amberson. You can say hi to him. What is your question? Oh, Florida. Oh, you go Florida? There you go. All right. So that's depends on state law. Every state has different rules for this. In Portugal, for instance, of course, I would have to know this. It's 25 years. So I gave up on the property. I came to the U.S. But 25 years. Every state has a rule. Every country has a rule. This is like so ancient. Think about it. During wartime, people died and there's no registry, there's no heirs, there's no nothing. So property was just abandoned. You would go and take over the property, maintaining it. Nobody claims it, you take over. So this is so old, from beginning of times. People just claim land because nobody is there to say, no, this is mine. Right? That's the way it is. Now we have records, and having records, it's a lot easier to do the transfers of properties and so on. Right? Now the other question from Joanna is, who pays for the taxes? So this depends on the state that you're in. There might be different requirements. One of them is the requirement of paying taxes, or you cannot claim it at all. In other states, taxes are not a requirement. Taxes are not a requirement. But I'm going to show you how in the state of New Jersey you can go for 20 years, waiting 20 years, to claiming the property in 2 years. Not bad, right? You don't have to wait 20 years. Katya's like, do you know any free land? If I knew any free land, I would. Of course, I would tell you. I don't plan on squatting anywhere right now. I don't have the time for that. So, plus my legs don't, they don't work like that. 2 seconds later, and I have to get up. All right. So. All right. For prescriptive easement, which is what we're talking about, adverse possession and so on, for this to be granted, for you guys to have the right to the property, there must be adverse and hostile use. Adverse and hostile use. Adverse and hostile use. That means you're doing it without permission. That means you're not a tenant. You cannot say, hey, I've been a tenant and landlord disappeared. You were there with permission. Okay? Open and notorious. Well, open and notorious means the owner knows or is presumed to know about the use. So if they don't know, it's their fault because you've been there. If they show up and they see you there and they still don't say anything, then you're allowed to continue, right? If they don't show up, that's their loss. Okay? Finders keepers. You're not hiding. That's what it means. You're not hiding. And it has to be continuous use, like I said, whatever the statutory prescriptive period is. Okay? Simple as that. So you want to claim property, just follow the simple rules. Adverse and hostile, that means without permission. Open and notorious means you're not hiding. And continuous. So if it says six years, you cannot go for 1 year, disappear, and come back for another 2 years. Right? You have to be there for the whole 6 years, whatever the time period might be. All right? Next we have eminent domain. So, what is eminent domain? It's called a government takeover. The government takes over your property for some type of public use. So it has to be for the greater good. So it benefits the community somehow. It's when the government goes to you and says, hey, I need your property, get out. Here's some money, get out. Kind of like cash for keys. They'll give you whatever is fair market value in their mind, and you have to go. Simple like that. Okay, so that's eminent domain. The government takes over your property. Okay. Next page. We'll talk better about eminent domain in a different chapter. Next page, we have encroachments. Encroachment is the unauthorized or illegal, like I said, unauthorized or illegal physical intrusion into another's property. Okay? For instance, the tree of your house is going onto the neighbor's property. That's an illegal extension or unauthorized use, right? A driveway extending beyond the lot line. So your driveway is actually, let's say you just decided to pave it or do something to the property that expanded your driveway, but you did not realize that you went too far. So now you're 1 foot over the property line, or a fence. So anytime that you're on somebody else's property line, what you're doing is taking over somebody's property. And when you take over somebody's property after 20 years, in the state of New Jersey as an example, what can you do? What can you do when your fence is over somebody else's line for 20 years? What can you do? Claim it. Yes. So encroachments could lead to easement by prescription. If my property is this, your property is this, and you put your fence here, after 20 years in New Jersey, as an example, after 20 years, I can claim this piece of land right here. Okay? After 20 years, I can claim that piece of land. So that means that 20 years later, I can say, Your Honor, I've been maintaining this piece of land for 20 years. They haven't said anything. Please survey it or resurvey it to allow me to use it. And while you're at it, here's a second lawsuit that has to happen. While you're at it, please turn that piece of property into my name. So add it to my property. So now the new land is going to be this. And because that person put the fence over, you just lost a chunk of land and they gain it. It has to be, in New Jersey as an example, it has to be 20 years or 30 years depending on the type of property. Brandon, yes, it could be in 2 years. I'll explain that in a different chapter. Hi, Carly just said, imagine, oh, by the way, I'll give you guys nicknames, so get used to it. Imagine maintaining for 19 years. That's one of my examples. If you guys watch my old videos, one of my examples. Imagine 19 and a half years and the owner was there just like, hey, they just built a house on the land that I left behind. My property is now worth more. I show up and say, hey, Carly, thank you. I appreciate it. Now get out. And there's nothing you can do because it was 19 years. It was not 20 years, so you cannot claim it. But wait, Carly, it gets better. You could be there for 26 years. But if you never claimed it, then it has no effect. The key is as soon as the 20-year comes around, the 20-year mark, right? You have to go and claim it. If you never claimed the right, you could lose it right away. So the 20-year mark or the 6-year mark or whatever the statutory mark is in the state is the mark for you to say, hey, Your Honor, I'm here. Give it to me, right? If you don't, the same thing as it never existed. There has to be a claim. You guys get it? Right? Anthony, no. We cannot skip it to figure that out. We're here to help other people buy properties and sell properties. Okay? That's what it is. Here he goes trying to figure out how to steal a property. All right, Miss Dobson. So suppose someone sells the house after 20 years. Does the new owners have the same rights? Do they have to resurvey? So are you asking the person that claimed the right, or are you asking the person that lost the right? Which one? Because whoever buys that property that claimed the right continues with the right. That doesn't change, right? If they buy the property that lost the right, they cannot reclaim it. Okay, so that does not change. Once you sold it, you sold it. And once you survey it, you survey it. It's done. It's part of yours or the other, depending. Chrissy, can you fight it right away? What do you mean? Can you fight it right away? If there's no claim, you can kick them out. You can even call the cops on them if you want. There's no need for attorneys. They're there illegally. Call the cops. If that does not work, then you go to attorneys to do an expungement, an ejectment. That's it. Kick them out. Oh, the fence? Yeah. As soon as you see that the fence is on your property, you can say no. Please fix it because you're on my property. Yeah, you can fight it right away. Absolutely. All right. Licenses are permissions, like I said. So the thing about a license is that it could be revoked at any time because it's only a permission. It's like me telling you, yeah, you can park over here. Okay? Me telling you can park on my driveway does not mean you have the right to do so. It means I allowed you to do so. Okay? You're not renting, you're not paying rent, so I just allowed you. If you're paying rent, then you have the right to park it. That's it. Okay? So, but if I said, hey, go ahead, just park it right here. It's not a permanent right. I can call you 2 minutes later and say, hey, come get your car, get out. Okay? Stacy, if I take care of my neighbor's rock wall for 17 years, what happens if they sell it in the next 3 years? Let's just say if you did not get to the full 20 years, you have no rights whatsoever. You just lost money. There's needs to have written proof of permission. No. Carliana, you don't need written proof of permission. No. If you have it, better. But still does not allow you to claim certain rights. I can literally tell you to get out. Everything is based on claim. Yeah. Claims, disclosures. That's what it's based on. Yep. All right. Deed restrictions. So deed restrictions, guys, are already covered. That's when I say you can or cannot do something with a property when I sell to you. So Ruth, you cannot use it for anything other than hospital purposes. Stacy, you cannot put it in the will because it dies with you in the life estate, as an example, right? Or we already talked about condos and co-ops. They have restrictions on what you can do with the property or not. Okay, so these are called deed restrictions. It's a private restriction. Private from grantor to grantee. Private from grantor to grantee. Okay. All right, we talked about all these. And then liens. All right, guys. We got roughly 9 minutes. This is quick. Liens are quick. It's just to understand one thing. I already told you these are financial claims. So the only thing you need to really know about liens and financial claims is different lien types, lien priority, which are the superior liens or the junior liens. So lien is a financial claim. So there's a credit, right? Creditor's claim or financial claim against the property. So it attaches to the property, and if you don't pay that money, right, they can take the property away through foreclosure. Right? So everybody knows this. Okay? On the next page, You already know that a lien is not an estate. So the lien does not convey ownership. A lien does not convey ownership. Just because you have a claim against the property doesn't mean you're the owner of the property. So let's say I worked on your property and you never paid me. Okay? I don't have the right to your property. I have the right to claim against the property. So if you ever sell the property, I can get paid because you owed me money. But I don't have title to the property. I don't have rights to the property in any way, shape, or form. Okay? So the lien's attached to the property. They don't attach to the owner. Lien is to the property, not to the owner. So when we get to chapter 17, which is real estate finance, I'm going to talk about mortgage and I'm going to talk about promissory note. Two documents. Mortgage is the lien that attaches to the property, while the promissory note is the obligation to pay and attaches to the individual. So liens always attach to the property. This is important. Liens always attach to the property, not to the property owner. Okay? All right, keep on going. And we have different types of liens. We have voluntary liens, involuntary liens. Guys, what is something that's voluntary? Let's go here. We're not talking about mortgages. We're talking about something that's voluntary in general. What does it mean? Okay. Okay, you're willing to do. Correct. Perfect. Free will, you're willing to do. What about involuntary? Involuntary. You're being forced to do. There's an obligation. Correct. So an example of voluntary lien, right? Voluntary lien, an example is the mortgage. Why is a mortgage voluntary? Because you asked for it. You asked for money to buy the property, right? You asked for the money. So they said, yeah, I'll give you the money if you let me put a lien against your property. So you asked for it. You allowed it to happen. Involuntary lien, as an example, taxes. Has anybody ever asked for taxes? Raise your hand if you asked for taxes. You said, hey, please, government, tax me. Anybody? No. So they're being forced on you. Right, Carly goes like, they're being forced on you. Involuntary liens. So voluntary liens, you ask for it. Involuntary liens, you're being forced. Okay, told you these were easy. And then we have general and specific. Okay. The difference between general and specific. General means all, specific means one. A general lien attaches to all property against any and all real and personal property, while specific lien attaches to a single item and does not affect other properties. So what does this mean to you? I have a house, I have another house, I have a car, and these are the coolest cars ever. You'll never see a car like this in your lifetime, right? I have bank account. I have my IRS returns. This is all property, by the way, right? I have my IRA, my 401k. I have a driver license. I have a passport. Whatever it is, these are all personal property. Okay, real property, the houses, and the other ones are personal property. So a general lien is something that will affect all your properties. Okay, so general lien will affect all these properties. Like what? General lien will be child support. General lien will be a medical unpaid bill to try to catch it from whatever they can, right? So they attach to everything you own. A general lien could be the IRS, so federal taxes. They go against everything you have, even your driver's license and your passport, right? So they attach to everything. A specific lien, there's property A, property B, there's a car, and so on. A specific lien is against that one property and does not affect the other properties. Like a mortgage. I bought this house with a mortgage against this house, right? Property A. If I don't pay for property A, right, can they come get property B? No, because the mortgage and the taxes are specific to property A. Does that make sense? So mortgages and taxes are specific to that one property. General liens apply to all, specific liens apply to one. Any questions on this? All right, we're good. So the next thing we have, and it's pretty much where we're going to end, is superior and inferior liens. That means who's first? Okay? In the event of foreclosure, who's first? Sorry. So the primary factors, or the two factors to determine a lien priority, right? To figure out who's first in the event of foreclosure. So you're losing your property. Whoever bids on the property, who gets paid first? Well, first, it depends on whether they're superior or junior. That's the first thing, right? The second thing is, when were they recorded? Okay? Because first in line, first in time, first in line. The other way around. Okay? So whoever recorded first gets paid first. Whoever recorded second gets paid second, and so on. So it's by dates, right? But that's after we figure out if there are superior or junior liens. So how do we figure out what's superior and what's junior? Right here. Superior always gets paid first, no matter what. Okay? So if you notice, these are all state taxes. The only one that's different is this one. Everything else is either municipal or state. Okay? Federal government usually is not first in time or first in line. Unless it's federal estate. That means somebody died. It's not federal state, it's federal estate. So federal state tax liens. And then junior liens, their priority is by date of recording. So now all of these could be first after the taxes are paid, the municipal taxes or municipal liens are paid. These could be in whatever order. It just depends on when they're recorded. You guys got it? All right, it's very simple. Who gets paid first? Taxes. Real estate taxes. Remember that for state exam. Real estate taxes get paid first, period. Everything else is based on when it was recorded. Okay? The rule is, I just mentioned that, whoever recorded first is highest priority. All right? Let me address real quick mechanics lien. Just give me 5 more minutes, guys, if you don't mind. Okay. So mechanics lien is also known as construction lien. That means I worked on your property and you did not pay me. Okay? So then I can file a judgment against you. I worked on your property, you did not pay me. The thing about a construction lien is that this is the only lien that's retroactive. Okay? It's the only lien that's retroactive. That means it goes back to when work began. Okay? So it's the only lien that if it's entered today, it's valid from when the work began. So if I did work today, you guys know that it takes about a year, 2 years, or even 3 years or more to conclude a lawsuit, right? Everybody knows this. It takes time. So if I did the work today and you did not pay me, it could take me a long time before I get the judgment. The judgment is done non pro tunc. And non pro tunc means now as if it was then. So we're filing it now, but to represent then. Okay? So it's the only one that's retroactive to when it was commenced. So it has nothing to do with recording date. All right? We don't need to talk about subordination. I already explained superior liens. So real estate taxes are superior. All right? Going really fast because we have a whole chapter on real estate taxes. We have a whole chapter on this. Okay? Okay, we talked about judgment is a court suit. Mortgages, we already covered that. Mechanics lien, we just talked about it. Okay. And foreclosure. Okay, so I told you I need a couple more minutes, 5 minutes. Give me 2 minutes. Foreclosure, there's two types of foreclosure. There's the mortgage lien and there's a judicial foreclosure and non-judicial foreclosure. Okay, this one is not used that much. I'm crossing it out. And this is to avoid foreclosure. Okay. To avoid foreclosure. So I'm going to explain this all better in a second. Okay. Here we go. So all liens can be enforced usually by court action, operation of law, or powers granted in the original loan agreement. So a foreclosure does not happen only through court. It could be based on state law, so that's the strict foreclosure, or based on whatever our agreement was initially. Okay? So here's what we have. Foreclosure process. There's judicial, non-judicial, and strict. Judicial means we go through court. Non-judicial, we skip court. Okay? So there's court. And this one is skip court. Okay? So when you stop paying, and there's judicial states, non-judicial states, I'll explain that better in a second. When you stop paying, that's called a default. That means you stopped paying, default, right? Around 60 to 90 days later, they'll claim acceleration. So what that means, they're claiming the balance. Let me zoom into these two. So they're claiming the balance of loan. So you defaulted. That means you stop paying, let's say your mortgage is $2,000 a month. Okay? You stop paying $2,000, 3 months later, it's $6,000. When they take you to court or when they're trying to claim the monies, they're not claiming the $6,000. They're saying, hey, you owe us $240,000. Your Honor, please get us the $240,000. That's what we want. We want the full money. They don't go and sue you for $6,000, whatever you're behind. They sue you for the full balance. Okay? That's called acceleration. They accelerate the maturity of the loan, which was going to be 30 years. They're accelerating to today, which is the day they're claiming this, right? In a judicial state like New Jersey, they're now going to file a foreclosure suit. So there's something called a summons and complaint. In a non-judicial state, like Virginia, for instance, they bypass it and go straight to give you a notice of sale. Okay, straight to notice of sale. This process here could take anywhere between 1 to 3 years. This process here takes anywhere from here to here, right? Takes anywhere between 60 to 90 days. Okay? So what we're saying is, oh, you defaulted? We gave you 2 notices. But since you defaulted, here's what we're going to do. You have a chance to redeem yourself before the sale. Got 60 to 90 days, whatever notice we give you. Got 60 to 90 days to pay us. Or, if we're in court, negotiate with the judge to pay off during the court proceeding. Take 1 to 3. Sometimes more, depending on what we do. After the sale, this is after, right? After the sale, they can come after deficiency. What is deficiency? Well, at the sale, I recovered, let's say, 50% recovery. Right? I'm suing you for the 50% loss. Okay? That's it, because at auction, they never paid the full balance of the loan. Got it? Thumbs up if you guys are good. All right, cool. So I already talked about acceleration. All right. One last thing is this word, lis pendens, and we are done. Lis means lawsuit. Pending. Lis pendens is lawsuit pending. Why is this important? Lis pendens. Because when we file a lawsuit, we file a lawsuit in court. Okay, let's say this is court right here. Okay. So this is court right here. Public records are a totally separate department. Public records against the property are here. We file a lawsuit here, but if I now try to sell the property, when you go pull the records, it does not show that there's a lawsuit. So to prevent the house from being sold while there's a lawsuit against the house, we file a lis pendens, which is a notice to all. Okay, so it's a notice to all. We're letting the world know, hey, if you have an interest in this property, just know that there's a lawsuit happening over here that might affect the property. So lis pendens is a notice to all. It's a notice only. It's not a lien. Okay? That's pretty much it, guys. All right. Okay, since Narj just asked for these, I just sent you guys the chapters for tomorrow. I'm sorry, for tomorrow is 6 only. Tomorrow 6 only, I'm sorry. Tomorrow 6 only. Katya, is it on public records always? If we file it, yes. If we don't file it, no. All right? Guys, if you have any questions, don't forget, please, don't forget to send me a WhatsApp message and I'll address your questions, okay? My number again is 908-418-8325. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great evening. Thank you.